on Saturday, 57-year-old Vance Belter, very early Saturday morning, decided to strike on a kill list that he had assembled over an unknown period of time. He started with 2 Democrats in his home state of Minnesota, beginning with State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, whom he shot multiple times. Somehow, the Hoffmans have survived this so far. The next victims would not. Belter assassinated Minnesota State Rep Melissa Hortman and murdered her husband as well. It is a tragedy. It's a terrible story. Despite cops being at the scene, Belter managed to escape from that second murder scene. He was finally arrested last night near his home. There's the picture of that moment. As of tonight, we don't know an official motive. It's a very strange story when you really get into the details, and we'll hear in a second. Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz says nothing more than it was political.
We're here today because an unspeakable tragedy has unfolded in Minnesota. My good friend and colleague, Speaker Melissa Hortman, and her husband Mark were shot and killed early this morning in what appears to be a politically motivated assassination.
So that's a rather measured and pretty cautious response from Tim Walz, very political guy, as we know, never misses a chance to vilify the right. Nothing about the threat of white supremacist MAGA Republicans, nothing like that at all, which is expected considering Democrats were targeted. You dig a little deeper and find out Belter had no Kings protest flyers in the back of his car. Kind of weird. That he was personally appointed by Tim Walz, the Democrat governor, to the governor's Workforce Development Board. Belter was also part of the organization Minnesota Africans United, a coalition to help all African immigrants improve their lives in Minnesota, which has a huge Somali influence. Think Ilhan Omar. Also, the only politician that he managed to kill, the second on his list, had been in the news just days before she was shot and killed. She made headlines because she had just voted with Republicans to end state-provided health care for illegal immigrants, which is a faction that Belter clearly cares about, as we just said. She had just made headlines for this 1 week ago, and later last week she was emotional after the concession.
I know that people will be hurt by that vote, and we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
That's somebody that a MAGA guy wants to kill? Strange timing for that assassination, right? Just 4 days later, she would be targeted in what the governor calls an assassination while refusing to elaborate on the politics of it. It's been a couple days now. And as we wait to hear why this happened, Democrats are very desperate to paint the alleged killer as MAGA, of course. The media has been all over this man who says that he is Vance Belter's roommate.
He's very conservative politically, but, we all say he has practice. Well, I don't know if we have the same views anymore, but I thought we did.
I was a Trump supporter. Voted for Trump. You like Trump? I like Trump. Nobody's happy with the government. Everybody's happy at this, not happy what this politician does or that politician.
Like I said, it's a weird story. Belter has a wife and kids, still married, but lived with that guy? It's a really weird story. Democrat hit list, no Kings flyers, strange living arrangement for a married man, works with an African foundation. The truth is, we just don't know. It's strange. But one thing we do know is that the Democrat brand cannot handle being attached to any more acts of political violence. That we're certain of. And they are terrified of yet another toxic story. There have been so many. In recent years, radical leftists have tried to kill our current president several times, and at least one Supreme Court justice after Chuck Schumer basically called for it. A deranged leftist murdered a healthcare CEO in broad daylight in Manhattan and was largely celebrated for it, becoming a sex symbol on the left. A Marxist murdered 2 Israel embassy staffers, a beautiful young couple, and he did it all for Gaza. They nearly killed Steve Scalise during baseball practice. They attacked Rand Paul and have given us a much too frequent stream of violence, rioting, and looting. We're now seeing for the second time in 5 years. A far-left Democrat flank that seems hell-bent on destroying this country and replacing it with a radical Soviet hellscape. The rhetoric from Democrats has gotten so extreme in their desperation for power that they have created a very dangerous monster that reveals itself time and time and time again. They're praying this isn't another instance of it. Hundreds of thousands of people in this country now think that everything is existential, and you see them protesting and vandalizing and rioting all the time. Immigration is existential. Climate change is existential. Gaza, healthcare, every issue. They're willing to kill to get their way on these issues in many cases. Democrats have created a monster that is scaring the hell out of moderate voters, going to make it very hard for them to stay in power. And now we have another lunatic killer. And we don't know what the motivation is. It's a strange story. But before the bodies are even cold, one thing we do know is that they are screaming that this is anything but themselves for survival.
I feel like Trump has really popped the lid off the rhetoric and the sense of hate and violence and promoted this type of an environment.
President Trump, he survived 2 assassination attempts, but his rhetoric and the degree to which he has demonized his critics.
President Trump is the biggest problem here. I mean, he has used hateful, degrading rhetoric from the day he decided to run for president.
I think the first thing we need to do is have our leaders take the temperature down. We're not expecting to see that from President Trump. Unfortunately, he has more than anyone given the permission structure for this reality.
It's got to be anything but them. That's all we know. Bottom line, when you look at all of this, there is a chance that Vance Belter is a deranged Republican voter. There's a chance. We don't really know. There's a lot of evidence that he wasn't. But what's more interesting is just how terrified Democrats are that he might be another of theirs. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.